Good morning. Sylvie's here.
Coleman is here.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
So, Commissioner, that election yesterday in St. Louis, that was a whole new voting format, wasn't it?
Yes, it's our new form of what's called approval voting, the nonpartisan voting process. So we now will go to the April 6th election which will be the general election for the runoff.
So, and that allowed
So
people to vote for more than one choice?
You could vote for as many candidates as you think is capable of doing the job. And so now, it's different. It's not vote for who you want to win. It's vote for those you think are capable of being a good mayor or this or that or whatever. Of course, smart people, those of us who've been voting forever and want our candidate to win, we voted for one candidate. So, it's going to be interesting. It's a new way of doing things. So looking forward to seeing what else happens with this.
Yeah, I saw a chart of results or a breakdown of results and noticed that it added up to more than 100 and was like, huh, I guess.
Yeah. So that was one of the first things I noticed. I started adding up percentages, and I'm like, well, that's over 100%.
Right.
So it's going to be really going to be interesting. We tried, I helped to try to educate people on the new voting process, but we shall see what happens.
All right. Well, it'll be interesting to see how the next phase goes. Commissioner, the other commissioners on the line, Commissioner Kinney?
Yeah, Kenny, sir.
Commissioner Roop? Commissioner Holzman?
I'm here.
All right. We'll see if we can reach out to Commissioner Roop.
Roop's here.
All right. Good. Well, that brings us all together. So we are all in attendance. So we'll go ahead and call the agenda meeting to order for March 3rd. Due to COVID, we'll continue conducting agendas via WebEx for the foreseeable future. So I ask those participating on the call, please mute your phone unless you need to speak. We will be pulling the 8th order from agenda. So that is TA 2021-0204. That will not be up for consideration today. We also will have closed litigation at the end of agenda. So we will reconvene for that. But the first order of business is to approve the minutes from February 24th, 2021. So you all have seen those. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those minutes are approved 5-0. All right, tariffs and new orders. First up is file number TO 2019-0346. This is in the matter of proposed modifications to the Missouri Universal Service Fund. Staff filed a motion requesting a clarification of whether the Missouri Universal Service Funds can be used for bundled services if the service also receives support through the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. The Emergency Broadband Benefit Program was created by Congress in December of 2020 to offer discounted broadband service to qualifying low-income customers. And as Commissioner Kinney can confirm, at the last Universal Service Board meeting last month, the board authorized staff to seek this clarification. So this order grants staff's unopposed request and clarifies the Missouri USF support is available to qualifying subscribers, including those bundled with broadband, but the total state and federal support shouldn't exceed the subscriber's monthly charges. So with that, I recommend we support this order version 2. Commissioner Kinney.
I am in support of the order as well.
Commissioner Roop,
I am supporting.
Commissioner Coleman,
I support the order.
and Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 2 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number EC 2020-0088. This is Patricia Sue Stinnett, complainant v. Kansas City Power and Light Company respondent. So this is a report and order in a small formal complaint case brought against Evergy West. Ms. Stinnett alleged that she was incorrectly charged for over 10 years for a utility light pole that was destroyed by a fire in 2009. The company had reimbursed her for 5 years of billing charges, but Ms. Stinnett was requesting reimbursement for the full 10 years. So a hearing was held on the complaint, and I sympathize with Ms. Stinnett, but unfortunately, I don't think that the commission can grant her the reimbursement she is seeking. Commission rules and the company's tariffs are clear that for any billing error where a customer is overcharged, the adjustment will go back for 60 monthly billing periods, which is 5 years, and the company has already refunded her for those 5 years. So with that, I do support the report and order denying her complaint, and this is version 2. I understand there may be some questions from the commission on this. Commissioner Kinney.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I do have a question for Judge Clark. Judge, are you there?
I am, Commissioner.
Were there any, I don't think there's any dispute that the pole was destroyed by a fire in April of 2009, and there were over 10 years of overbilling. I do not think that the evidence shows that's not a dispute. It's only the tariff. Were there any other discussions of any other opportunities the company could use outside of the tariff to reimburse Mrs. Stinnett for the additional roughly 65 months?
No, there were no other discussions in regard to that. I believe while it would have been possible for the company to ask for a variance from the commission's rule in regards to that, I'm not aware of anything that would allow them to ask for a variance from their tariff, which has the
So it's your thought that there's nothing that they possibly could seek a variance, or we could grant a variance to allow Ms. Stinnett the full reimbursement that she deserves?
I think we could as to the rule, but not as to the tariff.
Okay. Is there anything in the tariff that you know of that does not allow the company going forward to offer a credit?
Well, when I read it and it says an adjustment shall be made, I took that to mean credit. So,
Okay. Well, I would hope that the company would try to find on their own, try to find a way to rectify this and make Ms. Stinnett whole. But I will support the order as is because that is our statutes. But I would hope that the company hears this and will try to do something to make it to rectify the situation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Roop.
Yeah, I appreciate Commissioner Kenny's line of questioning, and I do think that the company should hear that there probably is support for what Commissioner Kenny is asking. If there is a way around the rules or those seeking of a variance, but unfortunately, like you said, Mr. Chairman, our rules in the tariff say that's how far back they should go, and that is how far back they have gone. But I would encourage the company to work with the commission to find a more creative solution.
yay.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Coleman.
I concur with the comments and I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I also concur with the comments and would also just hope that the company makes it right. I mean, it's pretty clear that this needs to be taken care of. So I'll support the order.
Well, it sounds like we are unanimous in that sentiment. But with that, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted, version 2, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number ET 2020-0390 in the matter of the Empire District Electric Company's application for approval of a transportation electrification portfolio for electric customers in its Missouri service area. This order just sets a procedural schedule for the case with a 2-day evidentiary hearing set for June 22nd and 23rd, currently set via WebEx. So I recommend we support this version 1. Commissioner Kinney?
I'm in support as well.
Commissioner Roop?
As am I.
Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzman?
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted, version 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number GR 2021-0108. This is in the matter of Spire Missouri Inc.'s DBA Spire's request for authority to implement a general rate increase for natural gas service provided in the company's Missouri service areas. This order grants the unopposed application to intervene for Vicinity Energy Kansas City. Although filed after the deadline to intervene in this case, Vicinity states that it did not receive notice of the case due to an ongoing corporate reorganization and turnover of key personnel. I believe that Vicinity has established good cause and has met the guidelines for intervention as set out in the Commission's rules. And usually if they show good cause, we are pretty lenient on letting people in. So with that, I'll support this order, version 1. Commissioner Kinney.
Bah humbug. It must be COVID, but I just noticed, they waited a couple months, so I'm going to be a quiet no.
Fair enough. Commissioner Roop.
I support the order.
Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
And
But
Commissioner
I feel Commissioner Kinney.
Holzman. And Commissioner Holzman.
Well, I also understand where Commissioner Kinney's coming from, but I'm going to err on the side of the company today and support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted, version 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
The ayes have it. The order is approved 4-1. Next up, file number TA 2021-0224. This is in the matter of the application of Socket Telecom LLC for designation as an eligible telecommunications carrier. Socket is seeking ETC designation since it was awarded federal rural digital opportunity funds to support providing broadband in rural areas. Staff reviewed the request and the census blocks that the company is requesting ETC designation for and recommended that it be approved. No other responses were received, so this order grants the requested designation. I support this order, version 1. Commissioner Kinney.
I am in support.
Commissioner Roop.
As am I.
Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted, version 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. So we have a couple of these. Next one is file number DA 2021-0225. This is in the matter of the petition of Midstate Services LLC for expanded designation as an eligible telecommunication carrier pursuant to Section 214 sub E sub 2 of the Communications Act of 1934 as amended. Midstate Services wants to expand its current ETC designation to include the census blocks covering areas of its recent Rural Digital Opportunity Fund award. Staff reviewed the recommendation and recommended that the request be approved. This order grants the request to expand the company's ETC designation, and I support this order, version 2. Commissioner Kinney.
I support the order.
Commissioner Roop.
I support the order.
Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted, version 2, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number DA 2021-0200. This is in the matter of the petition of United Services, Inc. for expanded designation as an eligible telecommunications carrier pursuant to Section 214 sub E sub 2 of the Communications Act of 1934 as amended. Similar to the prior order, this order grants the request for expanded ETC designation. Staff reviewed their request and recommended it be approved. So I support this order, version 1. Commissioner Kinney.
I support the order.
Commissioner Roop.
As do I.
Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted, version 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. As I mentioned, file number TA 2021-0204 will be pulled from the agenda. So that brings us to the final order, file number GE 2020-0373. This is in the matter of the request of Spire Missouri Inc., DBA Spire, for a temporary waiver from Commission Rules 20 CSR 4240-40.030 sub 9 sub Q, sub 13 sub M, sub 15 sub C, sub 15 sub D, and sub 15 sub E, and orders pertaining to inspections and replacements. So Spire is requesting the Commission's prior order waiving time frame for the company to comply with regulations concerning certain gas safety inspections due to COVID be extended again. The company states that they still have 277 customers who are refusing inspections due to COVID concerns. So absent an extension of the Commission's waiver order, the company would have to either disconnect the people or face being in non-compliance with gas safety rules. So staff recommended the extension request be granted through the end of July with the existing conditions, as well as some added conditions to increase information for customers on gas safety. Spire responded to staff, agreeing to all of staff's recommendations, except the company requested the extension to be through August 31st of 2021. Staff has indicated the July 31st deadline is based on their conversations with PHMSA. So this order extends the waiver period from the Commission's December 2nd, 2020 order, but the extended waiver will be through July 31st of 2021. So I support this order as drafted, version 1. Commissioner Kinney.
I'm supporting the order.
Commissioner Roop.
I am supporting the order.
Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted, version 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. We do have one other discussion today. This is on the Relay Missouri Advisory Committee request to revise its bylaws. So I'm not sure, is John Van Eschen going to present this, or who's presenting this?
I am Carrie Salzman.
Okay, great. Carrie, take it away.
Hi, good morning. The Relay Missouri Advisory Committee is requesting revisions to the committee bylaws. The most notable changes address the requirement that one of its yearly meetings be held in Jefferson City and the removal of the permanent position of the president of the Missouri Telecommunications Industry Association. The president of MTA retired and the association has since dissolved. The revision pertaining to the location of the meetings was sparked by the COVID-19 pandemic. Last year's April Relay meeting was canceled and the October meeting was held virtually. And it was during that October meeting that the committee discussed future meetings and amending the bylaws to give the committee greater meeting flexibility on a regular basis. You'll notice throughout the bylaws there were some other minor changes to reflect current practice, such as filing current vacancies and officer duties. The committee voted on and approved the proposed changes, and now staff is requesting final approval by the commission.
Okay, I've reviewed those and don't have any particular issues with them. Any other commissioners have questions about the proposed changes? All right, hearing none, I understand this will require a vote. Is that correct, Carrie?
Yes, please.
All right. So I will make a motion to approve the recommendations. Is there a second?
Second.
seconds.
I believe Commissioner Coleman was in there at the wire. So Commissioner Coleman with the second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the motion say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Thank you, Carrie. That concludes other discussion. As I mentioned, we will have a...
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner
Yeah.
Kenny. I have a question.
Okay.
Now, this question is for Commissioner Roop. Commissioner Roop, I think we've all been noticing that we've had a lot of eligible telecommunication carrier requests coming on lately, bunches of them. But I've noticed over the last year we have done nothing with the North American numbering system and no requests. And I know you've studied this going back to your years in the legislature, and you've made comments that there's going to come a time that this is going to end. Have we reached that time, Commissioner Roop?
Ooh, good question.
Don't believe we've reached that time, but I do believe we have reached the time where I am no longer serving on that national committee. So maybe my absence has put them into a mourning, and so they're having a hiatus for a while.
Okay, so you're not, do we have another representation coming forth from our, that we know of for the state of Missouri?
No, this was through through NARUC. There was a NARUC member or two NARUC members on that board, so it wasn't state specific.
Okay, well, maybe we can request our chairman to find out about that. Thank you, Commissioner Roop.
Duly noted, Commissioner Kinney. All right. So as I mentioned, we will have a closed litigation item at the end of agenda. But before we do that, let's discuss scheduling. Wednesday, March 10th, we'll have agenda at 3:30 p.m. That one has been moved. Wednesday, March 17th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Wednesday, March 24th, agenda at 9 a.m. We got all kinds of movement coming up. Wednesday, March 31st, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Thursday, April 1st, we have an evidentiary hearing in EC 2021-0059. That's Missouri Landowners Alliance v. Grainbelt. That will be via WebEx at 9 a.m. with Judge Clark presiding. Wednesday, April 7th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Thursday, April 8th, evidentiary hearing in SA 2021-0017. That's Missouri American Water's application for a CCN in and around the city of Hallsville, Missouri. That will be via WebEx at 8:15 a.m. Judge Jacobs presiding. Tuesday, April 13th, we have an evidentiary hearing in ET 2021-0082. That's Ameren's application for approval of its surge protection program. That will be via WebEx at 9 a.m. with Judge Pridgeon. All right, so are there any comments, questions, or requests regarding scheduling through April 13th? All right, hearing none, that brings us back to our final item. We will need to go into closed session to discuss litigation under section 610.021 sub 1 RISMO. I will make that motion. Is there
Kenny,
a second? Seconded by Commissioner Kinney. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of going into a closed session to discuss litigation under section 610.021 sub 1 and then immediately adjourning upon conclusion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That motion is approved 5-0. All right, commissioners, we will move into closed. You all have the information on how to access